For my entire life, I have wanted to have a pet dinosaur. Would anyone else like a pet dinosaur? Good. Well, fortunately, I was available to work with Steven Spielberg on Jurassic Park. And Michael Crichton had come up with a very good idea, a way to make dinosaurs. And I thought, if Michael Crichton can come up with a way, maybe I can actually do it. And so, I assume you all saw Jurassic Park and you know how the dinosaurs were made. It was actually pretty simple. All you really have to do is find a piece of petrified tree sap, otherwise known as amber. And you find a piece that has an insect in it that has bitten a dinosaur and sucked its blood out, and you take that piece of amber with the insect in it and you drill a hole in it and you suck out the dinosaur DNA, and you take that to your laboratory and you clone it. And then sometime later, you have a dinosaur. And that's all there is to it. It seemed like a great idea. Of course, there were a few complications. They made a bunch of them. And they thought, what could go wrong? Well, unfortunately, these dinosaurs conspired. It's kind of like the story of Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein made a man, and the man ate the maker. And the same thing happened with the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Unfortunately, they turned on man and ate him. What can you do? Well, fortunately for us, dinosaurs, they ate men. Now, I assume if you've seen the movie, you realize they did not eat women, and they did not eat children. It's an unusual situation. So, that happened also in Jurassic Park 2 and in Jurassic Park 3. For some reason, dinosaurs only like men to eat. So I assume if we make Jurassic Park 4, we will have the same problem again. We will have to find a lot of slow, not very bright guys. Anyway, so Jurassic Park was a cool movie, and I assume that everyone knows that we do have amber, and we do have amber with insects in it, and we can drill holes in it, and we can get stuff out of the insect. If we were able to get DNA, which unfortunately we never have been able to get, but if we could get it and we cloned it, chances are pretty good that we would clone a lot of mosquitoes. Or maybe we would have a forest, but getting a dinosaur is probably unlikely. Then there's also the problem with what to feed the dinosaurs, because even in the movie, they were getting sick. And there were some other problems as well, as you well know. So that's not a very good way to get dinosaurs. But I am a dinosaur hunter, and my job is to dig up dinosaurs. And I've always thought that if you're going to make a dinosaur, you should actually start with a dinosaur. And so in 2002, we actually found a Tyrannosaurus rex specimen that had the capability of producing interesting material that we thought we could actually use to make a dinosaur. And so we took our specimen, the thigh bone, the femur of our T-Rex, and we cut it open to look inside of it. And the cool thing about dinosaur bones, even though we know that they are fossilized, the internal structure of the bone is still there. It's still preserved after millions of years. And so we were able to cut open the bone and look inside and actually determine when this dinosaur had died. And it had died at the age of 16. It was an interesting specimen. We were even able to determine that it was a female Tyrannosaurus rex. And we were also able to, a graduate student of mine named Mary Schweitzer took the specimen and she put the bone in an acid solution that ate away the bony material, leaving what we didn't know would be there. Unexpectedly, we found blood vessels. And in the blood vessels were cell-like structures. And this was amazing because it suggested that there was the possibility of getting DNA from a dinosaur. And we looked, but we really couldn't find anything in the blood vessels. But together with the blood vessels were structures called osteocytes. And osteocytes are actually the cells that laid the bone down 65 million years ago. And so just like they did in Jurassic Park, we tried to get DNA out of the cell, out of the osteocyte. And what we discovered was nothing. We did not find DNA. We didn't find any, even the tiniest pieces of DNA. But we did find in some of these cellular structures, we did find collagen, which is a protein, which is a piece of DNA. So, but unfortunately, no DNA. So there was no chance that we were going to use DNA to make dinosaurs. So what we have to do if we want to make a dinosaur is we have to get beyond Jurassic Park and beyond the soft tissues and the proteins that we have found and do it a different way. And fortunately, we have a different way because fortunately, birds are living dinosaurs. Birds are actually dinosaurs, and you may have learned that dinosaurs are reptiles, and that is true. But birds are also reptiles. Birds are actually living dinosaurs, and they share so birds and dinosaurs each share feathers and hollow bones, wishbones, the three-toed foot, a semi-lunate carpal, which is the thing that allows their hands to fold up differently than our arms, and hard-shelled eggs, and many other features. These are how we know that birds are actually living dinosaurs. And so we separate dinosaurs now into two groups. We separate them into non-avian dinosaurs and avian dinosaurs. So birds are avian dinosaurs, and the big old extinct ones are called non-avian dinosaurs. And so dinosaurs gave rise to birds. In other words, through the process of evolution, dinosaurs gave rise to all living birds. And so to make a dinosaur, all we really have to do is reverse evolution and go backwards. Take a bird and see if we can actually find the dinosaur features. And that's exactly what we're trying to do in 3 laboratories in the United States. We are trying to reverse evolution. And so there are tools that we can use to make things biologically. There are tools of evolution. There is breeding, transgenesis, what we call modulation, and some structures called atavisms. These are the tools of evolution. And we all know about breeding because people have been breeding animals for thousands of years. And breeding is a cool thing. I mean, imagine that you can take a wolf, and you can pick characters, and you can end up with whatever those things are. They call them dogs, but it's unclear to me what exactly they are. But if you can start with a wolf and you can end up with, I don't know, I can't even think of the names of them, a Bichon or a Jitsu or whatever they are. If you can do that, then obviously evolution works. But I don't have time to make a dinosaur that way, although we probably could. We can even make featherless chickens through breeding. The other ways that we can do it, transgenesis is another tool, and transgenesis is actually taking a gene from one animal and sticking it in a different animal to bring out something characteristic. And we've been making transgenic animals for a while. Glowfish are a good example. You can take the gene out of a jellyfish, the glow gene, and put it in a fish and get glowfish. I mean, that's pretty cool. I guess we could make a glow chicken too. But people have actually made glow puppies. Who knows what you do with a glow puppy? But anyway, transgenesis is a way that we can modify animals biologically. There is also modulation, and modulation is what we really think of as genetic engineering. We repress genes and we can actually change the morphology of creatures. And this is the kind of things that we will probably use one day to make different kinds of animals, but we're really not very good at using modulation yet, but we probably will be. But atavisms are something different. Atavisms, as you probably all know, once in a while, children are born with tails. And it's because their ancestors had tails. Our ancestors had tails, so every once in a while, this characteristic pops up. And we see the same thing in snakes. Every once in a while, they are born with legs. Every once in a while, dolphins are born with legs. These are atavisms, and they are ancestral characteristics. And we can see these ancestral characteristics oftentimes in the embryos. And sometimes we can actually reactivate them. And a fellow by the name of Matthew Harris at the University of Wisconsin actually stimulated a repressed gene for teeth and was able to produce a chicken that had teeth. Now, the teeth did not erupt, but at least it was, the beginning of what we might be able to do. So, birds would be a good characteristic for our dinosaur to have. Now, I would like to think that we can hatch one day a chicken that, really does have teeth and would chase animals out of the yard. But we don't know how to do this yet. The teeth that we are capable of making are still embedded in the jaws. We have not been able to get to this point. But because embryos develop, and as development continues, we actually see these atavistic characters in the embryos as the animal develops. And one of the things that we're trying to make as we try to turn a bird into a dinosaur, one of the things that we're looking for is a tail. We would like to make a tail, and we'd also like to make hands rather than wings from a bird. And so we can find these characteristics in the embryos of developing birds. So one of the characteristics that we are interested in is actually the hand. And if we look at the hands of dinosaurs and primitive birds and modern birds like Velociraptor, Archaeopteryx, and the pigeon, you can see that the pigeon's hand is actually very different than that of the dinosaur and even that of the primitive bird. But if we look in the embryo, we actually see that the embryonic pigeon's hand looks very similar to that of the primitive bird. And that's what we're interested in. So we're actually interested in capturing that hand that is in the embryo. So we're looking for the gene that actually transforms the three-fingered hand in the embryo and fuses it together to make the wing. And we are trying to repress that gene. We're trying to stop it. We're trying to turn that gene off so that our bird will hatch with a three-fingered hand. We're also doing the same thing with the tail. As the embryo actually develops in the egg, a bird has a tail. It forms a tail. It has a very nice tail, as a matter of fact. And then a gene turns on and it resorbs that tail. It gets rid of it. So we're looking for that gene as well. And we want to keep that gene turned. We want to turn that gene off that resorbs the tail. So those two genes plus the tooth gene would make a pretty interesting animal, because we could go from having a chicken to something more like a dinosaur. So with a long tail and with hands instead of wings, it at least would look more like a dinosaur. And the reason we want to do this is because sixth graders, plus myself, would like to have live dinosaurs. Now, there is, as you all know, the problem of what could go wrong. Well, I don't know. It's a chickenosaurus. Look at it. It doesn't look dangerous. It looks like a chicken. And in fact, that's what it is. And in fact, if you mate a chickenosaurus with a chicken, you're going to get a chicken. And the nice thing about chickens is that they eat chicken feed, not people. So theoretically, and of course this is what they said in Jurassic Park as well, as you know, theoretically, I don't think anything could go wrong. But I think it's good that we keep it at the chicken size rather than big. Sixth graders would like to have big dinosaurs, and I keep telling them that's not a good idea. Chickenosaurus should be small. But it's a cool project. And this is, in fact, what we're trying to do. But in the future, using modulation, I think we will actually be able to make a living, breathing dinosaur that looks like a living, breathing dinosaur. And of course, well, they will probably eat us. Thank you very much.